first and fourth games are where we're going to look at some clips from. And those games, like you lost the first game, you really struggled, I would say there. Made me slightly concerned for this series, but then you absolutely destroyed them game 2 and 3, and then you kind of came from behind in game 4 to win it and close out the series. Before we look at some clips, I do want to talk about kind of TSM Academy in general. They were really your only rival in like the second half of the split. How confident were you coming into the playoffs? Because you guys both 3-0'd your semifinal.
Yeah, well, basically, before these finals, we scrimmed against TSM, like a decent amount. We scrimmed, I think, like 3 whole scrim blocks, like the week before, and for the most part, we like beat them most of the games in scrims, so we were pretty confident going into the finals that we were going to like beat them. We also knew what their priorities were as well.
Well, they kind of have the same problem that the C9 main roster has, in that they play very heavily around Lost.
Yeah, they play extremely heavily around their bot lane. Like Winston always goes bot lane. He never comes top lane. I don't think I saw him once in the entire series. So.
Like, you know, I was like, yo, this guy can't be bot right now. I'm like, this guy's bot, by the way. Like, these guys are playing like monkeys. He's like, he can't be bot, by the way. And like 2 seconds later, the jungler's here. I'm like, what are you saying? He's like 3 levels down. I'm like, man, like this guy doesn't even jungle. He's just sitting in the bush. There's like a meme in our team where like we call him the bot lane zombie ward. He's just like here, and like if you hit him once, he gives you some gold.
Yeah. Gives a little
It's crazy.
But yeah, basically going into the TSM series, they're pretty much our like only rivals, I guess. But I wouldn't even call them like a threat, really. Like we knew like they were like sort of outclassed and like pretty hard by us, in my opinion. So I wouldn't even call them like a threat, to be honest.
I mean, after watching this series, I wouldn't call them much of a threat either.
To be honest, the first game was pretty rough. I mean, we were playing a pretty heavy like team fight comp. Like afterwards, we started to play like more like the Lucian Evelynn sort of thing, where like or Lucian with Gragas solo lane. I mean, Gragas jungle.
Yeah, I didn't like the way we drafted around bot. The first game was pretty wrong. Like in my opinion, I should have picked like something more defensive, and like it would have been like way better. I picked Thresh into Nolus, like knowing that is like not that good of a matchup, just because Thresh is good with Ashe in general.
Sure.
And like I've played that matchup before like a lot, and like the matchup is good if you can fight for river bot side, and you can just get the river, and then you can push as the Ashe side. But in that game specifically, we can't push at all because we have a 0 mid. We want to scale. So we can't fight around mid as 3. So because of that, like I was playing like on the back foot the whole game, bot side, and like if you play on your tower against Kus and Nolus as Thresh, you can't play the game at all. So that was like my fault for forcing Thresh in that game. So it made the game look pretty hard.
I mean, I wouldn't say that was, in my opinion, the primary reason you lost. I think that there was a giant fight in top lane where you guys kind of just like decided to lose.
But it's one of the reasons. In my opinion, that will be a fix.
I appreciate what you're saying, but you know, I feel like we didn't even get to that point in the game because you had already lost by.
We sort of just ran it in the top lane that game.
Yeah, that was not too hot.
Which was funny too, because one of the things that I really enjoyed about watching Inori play this series is how like you guys are like the exact opposite of the LCS team. Because Inori is like walking into solo lanes, ganking at level 2, and just sacrificing himself in order to get ahead. Right? He's ganking early. He's not farming. He's playing sets, like trying to make the plays in the early game and get the solo laners ahead. And it's like completely the opposite, where Blabber's like calling the lanes to help him like get crab. You know what I mean? So
I mean, I think Blabber sort of does both in that regard. Like where Blabber calls resources for himself really well when he knows the laners can help him.
I've never seen Blabber level 2 gank mid.
I mean, level 2 gank is. I mean, I've seen it in scrims for sure. Like he does it a lot in scrims. He does some crazy stuff in scrims, but yeah, I mean, he doesn't like level 2 gank, but I would say like when he does know when to gank. I mean, he just knows very well what he needs to do like certain timings.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I was impressed by Inori's selfless play.
Inori's selflessness, yeah. I mean, it had to work through it during the entire split.
This is the type of plays that we do in scrims, and then he's like, if it doesn't work, Inori's like, I'm never doing this again. And then like he did it on stage once, and he's like, holy fuck, it's so good.
he's learning, but it's just fun to see like the very different style that you guys have compared to the C9 main roster. Let's take a look at some of these clips though, because I think it'll be fun to kind of review this. We're gonna look at some from game 1 and game 4.
Oh god.
Yeah.
This is when I.
Yeah, this was the tragedy.
A little bit Yeah, I'm not too sure what I was thinking. I should just not TP here.
Here,
but-
this fight activity is actually fine. It's just like we need to not throw Assault. If we don't throw Assault here, it's like
I
they
mean,
can't
here
fight
I
us.
sort of entered as well. I didn't flash a Kali second hour, I think,
This fight is really bad
from
from
what I
the
remember.
get-go.
Yeah, I mean, this fight already looks ugly, but I mean, I just if I flash a Kali, I have no clue. Man.
Yeah,
This
I
fight
mean,
just looks ugly though.
Pretty sure like if they full commit in tower, like Tomo doesn't use ult, they can't go any further because they can't walk.
Okay, here's the second clip.
Oh, this was bullshit, by the way.
Okay, I was calling this entire
No, but
time.
look,
Okay,
look at Wukong.
the FTP.
No, but you see what happened? Like, Christian pushed the Wukong, and I hooked at the same time, and it pulled him out of the zero.
Smurfing and Pisslow, holy,
And that was bullshit.
this guy's so good.
Yeah, he's a bit too talented.
Like, what is happening? Oh my god,
I mean,
this game looks like a bloody amateur game.
yeah,
0-4. Holy shit.
it turns out it was, but it
Not
is
now.
it is you know, obviously like coming out of that top lane fight. You know, for me, I look at your composition, and there's no reason. You talk about using the Ash ult early, but like, there's no reason to like
not use
overcommit when they
Ash ult
have
at
2 TPs, because you have a pretty, I think, distinct scaling advantage in this game as it is.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter that you guys lose one in the top side.
is-
And I think
this is
your
the-
TP was actually good up there too, because at least you prevented them from diving you, but you just can't over pursue, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where like sometimes teams get like, for example, this game I got like uneasy about going even because it felt like we were giving objectives, right? And sometimes when you give too much, you just can't scale. And I, for some reason, got desperate and called for a play, which was pretty bad here.
No. What we're saying is that if he doesn't use ult, they don't fight us. Is what I'm saying. Like they use because we use Ash ult, they use Null ult on top of it, and I mean Kusa ult, and they just fight us. But if we just don't use Ash ult, there's no fight.
Yeah, I should also just not call this fight. I mean, not even play for this fight. Oh, he has sort of entered as well, I think.
We thought that because they're chasing us into their tower,
I could have definitely flashed the Nautilus Q here. God damn, man. I played pretty bad.
At this point, they're
These
so
team
ahead.
fights.
At this point, they're so ahead. Goodbye, my life.
Yeah,
I got baited at that Baron fight too. Christian's like, yo, walk in front of me, kill you for yourself from me. Okay.
Oh, he doesn't use Ash ult?
Yeah, no, if you don't use Ash
He
ult, then
does.
use because I can leave here.
Okay.
I
So
can
you're
just leave
saying,
for free.
are you sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Oh,
just leave.
the ult after, okay.
Yeah,
Right,
because
you-
the ult's the Kusa ult on top of it.
Yeah, you can't Ash ult the target when Callista ult is still up,
Callista ult
right?
is-
Yeah, if he doesn't use ult here, if they keep going forward, they will lose. But like
Yeah,
there, we just use it so they kill me for free.
it's a blow. I also just didn't flash Kali ult. Man, I don't want to watch this anymore.
Yeah, this game sucks.
Damn it.
I'm looking
I mean,
at it like I'm
what
like
what is
0 and
impressive is that look at the gold totals right now. You're only
look at the trash
1,000.
hook here.
Yeah, we're not even behind at this point, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
you're
yeah,
not.
I guess it was sort of bullshit that Wukong went through there, but
It was
this fight is just ugly regardless, though.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty ugly, but that was like what? Mark Merrill? What? How's this
God
work?
damn it, man! I'm 0% win rate on Jace. Fuck.
My fucking Threshing rate is doomed. I was 80% win rate, man. Like it's over.
So after that game, because for me at least, you know, even after the mistake in the top lane, it was still really close. You were trying to deny the Dragon Soul, the Cloud Soul there, which is why you got into that fight. Maybe a little bit early, still had a minute to spawn, right? But
Yeah.
in spite of all of that, it still looked pretty good. Like you were playing well from behind, and so I wasn't too terribly worried about you in this series. What was the kind of general attitude, and what adaptations did you want to make for the rest of the series? What was your conversation like with Raymond?
Well, basically, during scrims, before all this happened, the games, we were playing a lot of Lucian Evelynn, Lucian Gragas, like all the AD mids with AP jungle, basically.
Sure.
And then we were still saying, even though we played all of that, we still saying that we'll prioritize set over that first pick because it's a double flex for us. Well, yeah, a double flex only top jungle basically. And after that series, we decided that if we do ever get the opportunity to go set, we would just instead take the Lucian Evelynn like over it, I think was what we said. And basically, I think we stopped playing set for the most part of the series, right? The last 3 games, I don't think we prioritized set at all.
I think we let them pick it, no?
You picked it in game 4.
Oh, we picked it in game 4. Oh, right. Yeah, you're right, actually.
This was fine. I mean, we literally when as the Nexus exploded, I said, "Yo, guys, let's bank it."
Oh yeah, Ben Callista. We need to Ben Callista actually. They played way too. I mean, like their team is just designed for Callista, you know. So we banned Callista, I think, in the second game.
Yeah, we had an idea they would play it, but like most teams are like just randomly drop Kalista. So like we were like, man, maybe they don't play it. They'll like flip it one game. And then like they played it. I was like, ah, shit, the guys, we're gonna have to ban the Kalista.
So what you're saying is you figured out how to beat the C9 main roster as well.
Oh God.
Oh no, that's not how it works. We tried to ban Kalista. It's not enough. We need like
yeah,
7 more.
it's not enough against Sven, but in scrims at least.
Yeah, Sven is crazy.
So let's talk about the Evelynn, because this is a really interesting development in the meta that was kind of spearheaded by some of these LPL teams, and then we saw it in the LEC playoffs when Fnatic was running it. Super strong champ right now, and as you say, you're building the Evelynn around AD solo lanes so that you have a decent like mix of damage types. But what are some of the things you've learned as a team about playing with the Evelynn? Because it's more of a skirmish style rather than trying to commit to a 5v5 team fight.
I mean, it's more or less just this champion makes all lanes at level 6 scared to play aggressively unless you're permanently showing. So it feels really, really like hard to play against when you're versing it. Like we also versed it in scrims. We played with it. But generally, when you're playing against it, you feel very pressured at level 6, and even in side lanes, you usually want to draft AD solo lanes because in side lanes they can't itemize MR easily, and Evelynn can basically 1v1 them. And we obviously watched a lot of LPL, LEC, Selfmade, and Kanavi were really good at it. Inspired's also pretty good at it. And the champion is just very simple to play with. If you just go through side lanes, I mean, it's not simple to play with, I guess, but you just go through side lanes, basically. You just play around vision. You try to clear all the pink wards for the Evelynn to actually get access into like the map. And that's how we played with it. We only scrimmed with it like 2 or 3 days, though, before this final stuff.
Does Anori like playing it? It's pretty fun as a jungler.
I had to force him. I mean, like months before this, I was telling him Evelynn and like Karthus are really OP. I feel like the AP junglers right now are really, really broken. Like the full clear AP junglers with AD solo lanes. They feel really, really overpowered right now. And I was trying to convince him. And then after Selfmade and Kanavi played it, he like, finally tried it. And then it was just free wins, He had those montage clips.
What did you think about the Skarner pick against the Evelynn? Because interestingly, that would be a preview of what would happen to the LCS team, right?
Oh God!
But it's probably a surprise to a lot of people. But you guys managed to beat it. However, how do you think that matchup is supposed to play out?
I think it's generally pretty good for Skarner. I think it makes the Evelynn a lot more scared to actually like be isolated by herself on the map. Like he can predator randomly and look for Evelynn if she ever shows herself. I mean, I don't think it's like something you should be scared of when you're picking Evelynn, but I do think that it's a decent answer to Evelynn.
Yeah, I don't think it was against Eve that they picked Skarner. I think it's against Lucian.
It was the combo, I think.
Yeah, I think it's good against the 2 champs. Like it's good against Lucian because he can't play as aggressive against Skarner. Like you have to be actually scared of 6. You can't just punish your lane.
Yeah.
So some of the other picks that have come up recently, if we move into the top lane, have been these revitalization of carries like Vladimir and Gangplank, even though Gangplank never really went away. But under what circumstances do you like to play Vlad right now? Because we've seen it come up a lot more.
Well, I think generally Vlad needs the enemy team not to be able to itemize MR very easily. I think it's like more reliant on Vladimir being able to have like a lane where he can go even CS. Like GP is a pretty decent lane for Vladimir, where I do think if the GP is good, he can just win lane, but like most of the time NA GP isn't good enough to really do that. And you basically just need the enemy team not to be able to itemize MR very easily. I actually think that the game we played in game 4 was actually not the best game for Vladimir. I think like we had an Akali with it that sort of doesn't like having another AP champion on our team. She sort of prefers being the solo AP, and same with Vladimir. But I do think that the champion can fit in very well if your teammates have heavy like physical damage.
And a lot of this is coming back to some of the like melee champs that we're seeing in top lane now that Vladimir normally thrives against, just because you can kind of go even, sustain yourself, and then turn into a late game monster.
Yeah, a lot of the blind picks like for example, I think Camille is actually something people have been blinding quite a bit. And I know like T1 top laner Kana, he plays like Vladimir into it, and also just like the GP especially, I think is like a pretty like decent matchup with if the Vladimir comp, it's good for Vladimir in the comp, then he can be fit into the versus GP. But actually, yeah, I don't think it's like the best unless like I'm pretty sure you can't pick it unless the enemy team building Imar is not good for them.
Let's take a look at some of the clips then from Game 4, because this was a pretty solid come from behind win. You guys were kind of on the back foot the entire time.
I sort of entered lane in this game, I'm not gonna lie. The level 1 and 2 was a bit rough.
It seems a bit weird.
So we're already 30 minutes into the game when you guys are trying to do the Baron at this point in time. What's the call that's going through right now, whether you're going to finish or try and turn it?
Basically, we're trying to bait them into the pit here so I can get an easy flank. I actually missed my E-flash here, but they don't one-shot me somehow, so I live and we killed GP. I think we started this... Oh no, we chased them to the end of the T1 and then we killed Volibear, then we started Baron again. But basically our call was just to like bait them in to starting like a fight around like the river so that me and Akali could get flank on Tribrush. And I think we need a flank as these champions, so it was pretty good that we did this. Starting Baron up again. I'm not actually sure if they could have contested this, but maybe not.
I don't think Redemption actually
pretty low.
dumpsters. Like they GP ulted us, and we're all like half in the night Redemption.
Oh my god, this fight! Christian hard into this fight, by the way. I couldn't believe it when I saw this. I was looking at him and.
But yeah, this rank
at this point, Vladimir is just broken out of this world. Like, there's nothing that team can do. Like,
what I love is just seeing you just like sprint into the fights after teleporting, and you just hit them with the Vlad ult, and then just hit them with an E, and then they all die.
Yeah. Like this champion is way too broken at this point of the game. Like, there's nothing that the enemy team can do if I'm just like pressing W correctly and just using my spells.
I mean, Zaya used ulti on the...
Yeah, Zaya used ulti on Akali as well, which was good. I mean, he died to get Zaya ult, I guess.
I mean, this flank that I think you had is pretty good. Besides, like you said, you're not playing the perfect flash E.
Yeah.
But I think the other one, I would struggle to call the second fight a flank.
Yeah,
because you're just running at them.
I mean, the TP movement speed in late game is actually really big with home guards. Yeah. And also, I have Spellbinder, so it's like it's just insane. Like, there's not really much they can run away from. But yeah, I mean, this game felt pretty weird. I mean, I sort of entered my laning phase against GP in this game. Like, level 1 and 2, I just, like, really ran it down. So this game was actually a lot harder than it should have been, I think.
If we played every fight, like, kind of like this, things to reach win. I think this game was like, we were waiting for items a lot of the time of the game.
Just love watching you run at them.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Locket of the Iron Solari does not do enough at this point.
It's pretty useless. I mean, he has no HP, so...
Yeah, he doesn't have HP, so it's not a big shield.
Locket's, like, so useless if you don't have HP items.
But, yeah, I mean, this game, they actually itemized quite a bit of MR, I think. They built, like, Banshees, Hex Drink on AD, and also, like, more on GP, I think. But I don't think it's enough because I'm just 4-item Vladimir, so it's just unlucky for them.
What did you think, Diamond, when you saw the Zaya Rakan lock in this game? Because that's not what we have normally seen throughout a lot of these regions. Do you think this was a good pick into what you guys were running with the Ash Thresh, or what was their thought process behind selecting this, if you had to guess?
I think it's just a desperate move, I think. Like, it's like the classic TSM desperate move. It's like, we can't win, we're going to play Zaya Rakan, try to play for bot. And I knew, like, for a fact that, I mean, that, like, it's not bad into Ash. Like, it's okay into Ash. Like, it's just fine. But, like, I wasn't scared of it. I mean, I played against Zarkon, like, so much. I know how it plays out. I think we had, like, one misplay in lane and, like, made the lane, like, a bit weird. But, I mean, in general, it's just like, whatever.
Yeah, when I saw the Zaya Rakan look in 1-2 instantly on red side, I knew that these guys were really desperate. Like, I could tell that they were shaking in their boots because you could tell this is like their last trump card or something, like, you know. Like, oh yeah, the Zaya Rakan that we prepared, you know, for the fifth game or something, but you're putting it out in fourth game, so.
It's their comfort, I think. It's like lost, like, plays a lot of Zaya and Treatz as a player. I think they banned, like, Morgana for it. Set up, like, I was like, why the fuck are they banning Morgana, like, 1, 2, 3? Then I saw Zaya Rakan locked in, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're very cool.
Do you think that TSM was hurt by the fact that they were kind of switching Treatz and Biofrost around between the main roster and the Academy roster?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because we're not really part of it, right? But I do think that like it's never really a good thing to be swapping around supports like that. I mean,
The support is a pretty big part of like the way your team is gonna play the game. Like if you swap out supports, and jungler is probably the hardest. Like role swap out. Like swapping AD carry is probably not as impactful. Depends on just how they play the champions and like the lane. Swapping like top laners could be like not as good. Like it's okay, I think, in my opinion. If it's
I do think that like Treatz and Bio are like very different players. Like they're literally like polar opposites. I feel where like Treatz permanently like calls what he wants to do. You know, he always calls his jungler. Like it's not like necessarily a bad thing, but it's just like it feels like. I'm like I don't think it would ever really be a good thing for them to like be constantly swapping out supports.
Sure.
Teams, honestly.
Well, let's take a look at some stats over the course of the season, because I think like it's very interesting to compare your performance versus TSM Academy over the course of absolutely everything that you guys played, because it really does show kind of a story of dominance. Like especially if we look at the team stats, which are presented by Microsoft. Thank you. Between you guys, Cloud9 Academy and TSM Academy. Now, you guys had, TSM is still winning most of their games, 15-9 overall, and that includes, some of the games they lost to you. Now, I have to say, this data doesn't include one of the games from the finals. We didn't get that information from Riot, so we have 3 of the 4 games in the finals. So it's not a complete data set, but it's only one match, and it wouldn't change, that much. But if you look at, the difference between your objective control and their objective control, it's pretty ridiculous. In fact, I'm surprised TSM managed to get a 15-9 record when they're taking 41% of first dragons, barely over 50% of total dragons, and 39% of heralds. And also, they're under 50% of the total jungle. I struggle to see where they're getting their advantages. They only take first tower in half their games, right? How are they winning matches?
I know why. It happened on stage. I mean, it happened on stage where like they froze bot at like a weird timing to like get a CS lead on bot lane. And we just get a free dragon because they just froze bot randomly. Fun. Like they play for lane advantage over like objectives. So like their bot lane like most of the time will take a shitty recall, like push an extra wave, so for an item, or like just like a bit of more gold. So like, then they will lose dragon every single time, or they will lose a herald that way too. So yeah, I think that's
and it also felt like during the regular split, it felt like the teams that were getting the first dragons really weren't good enough to actually close out the games, and it felt like TSM just outclassed them when it came to like team fights and like. Macro and like mid and late game.
TSM had like some 50 like minutes. Like they have like
I remember the CLG game.
Yes, 5 to 6 60-minute game. Like it was crazy. They won the games just because like MET didn't know what to do after 40 minutes. It was really crazy.
Yeah, I mean, in our team specifically, Reynolds just like hops on about dragons. Like every single time we don't get a dragon in scrims, he would always like, "How do we get this dragon? How do we get this dragon?" So
yeah,
like, basically, Inori is just the dragon slayer at this point. I mean. He's always starting the dragon randomly.
He's a dragonborn. Plays League of Legends, like in Skyrim edition.
Did he start yelling Fusro Da in games?
Yeah, every time he kills the raids.
All right, let's take a look at Fudge's stats as well, because you were playing up against Dokla. Here it is with all of your games except for one from the finals. I find this like really telling again of kind of the stylistic differences that we've discussed. Dokla only has a 12.5% first blood kill assist percent ratio. So that means that he only gets a kill or an assist on 12.5% of the first bloods that happen for TSM. Meanwhile, you're way up there. Really shows that they don't play to the top side of the map.
Yeah, they really hate Dokla. Like, I remember like in scrims, I think it was like literally 1 out of like 15 games that we played against them that they actually came top lane and ganked me in like early game. It was actually ridiculous. Like every time I play against this team, it feels like they never ever come top lane. And I actually think that he's not actually bad at all as well. So.
I would argue that he's not. Like if you look at the stats here, he's only getting that first blood kill assist percent 12.5% of the time. Yet he's not that far behind you. He's a percent behind you when it comes to team damage. He's actually way overperforming for the support that he's getting. I would argue.
Yeah, I would actually argue that like if they played to him more, they'd actually be a better team. But I mean,
top lane is broken. Let's go top lane.
yeah. So I mean, a lot of the time it feels like I know really well how matchups will go in terms of, like the waves, so it's really easy to set up ganks on top lane. It feels, and a lot of the top lanes don't actually know how to set up their wave well. So getting like first blood is very easy because the top lane is like it's like a very like static role in terms of like what will happen. Like you'll always like be able to like crash through waves. You'll always be able to just base, and the wave will freeze back, and there'll be a gank timing. You know. And a lot of the time, teams don't actually like think about that, and they don't actually like play around it, and you just get random kills that way, like first bloods.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons too we play towards top side and mid like more, because like the way our team played out, like for this split at least, I had to teach like Tomo a lot about laning, and like most of the time like we'd be like, yeah, we win this lane like from like champions, you know, and then we go into the game and we're not winning because like I had to like teach Tomo how to like the lane should be played and like how we get pushed in like a lot of the game the lanes that you have to like fight for push. So most of the time we would draft around bot lane to like go like for a bot grab, and then we go to the game, we can't get bot grab because fucked up the lane, right? And then like Inori's tilted, mid's tilted, everyone's tilted at the beginning of the game because it doesn't work. Then we're like, oh, we could do the same thing topside, right? But like Fudge always gets a prior when he says he gets it because he knows the lane really well. So like we just default to topside at that point, which is perfectly fine because I needed more time to like help Tomo out with what he was what he needed to do.
Yeah, I mean, there was some like matchup, I guess, knowledge that was like not like well thought out in like bot lane, or like maybe like Tomo just didn't play it well. But
I mean, it was hard.
It feels like Inori just hates our bot lane. You know, he doesn't want to go bot lane. He just wants to come top.
Yeah, kind of, but like it's mostly like I just had to teach a lot to Tomo about how we like a lot of matchups played. I mean, I think he's a lot better at like playing like a lot. Like there's some matchups you need to fight no matter what. Like you need to use your advantage and push it to like the max, because like a lot of bot lanes are like so like they're like psychos. They will fight you no matter what, even on offside. They're split side bot side, and they just like fight you to death level 1. Like what are these doing, by the way? This is crazy. In Academy they don't care. Like straight up, it's just World War 3 in the bot lane on CD.
It sounds tough. I mean, I couldn't get stats for you, Diamond, for the following reasons. So comparing you to the support from TSM would have been 2 different supports, so would have been a little bit awkward to like combine their statistics. Yeah. And secondly, I would have done just for the finals of you up against Treatz, but we didn't receive the data from one of the finals games from Riot, so I couldn't even get like the full series around the finals, so I'm sorry. But I do think you're good, so don't worry about it.
Support stats are so useless anyways. Like what do you do like a support stats? Like you have more KD. Congratulations. You press like your support ability more in team fights.
I would have just done all warding stats.
I mean, you could argue warding stats. You could argue warding stats are like freaking like your team's just not coming to help you ward. Like,
sure. Like whoa.
Oh, of course.
I have zombie award. I have twice the division score. Congratulations. You're really good. Like. This doesn't make sense.
So that's an interesting conversation, though, Diamond. So what are your favorite support stats then?
Jungle percentage bot lane.
It's actually not bad. That's actually not bad.
Treat
I like
it. 100%.
It shows the pressure that you're putting on, so the jungle can walk in and take the enemy jungle.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not terrible. It's not terrible.
I mean,
the meta fucking. Dandy stat, the 100% the jungle at level 3. I don't have that. I wish I had that.
I mean, stats, I feel, I'm not actually sure what stats like are really good.
I mean, early, or like first dragon percent is probably a not terrible stat for supports.
First dragon percent would be probably like the best relevant stat to like bot lane, but it's also like it's hard to say without context towards the stat.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, like if your mid jungle lost like one fight like before, like before level like 5 or something, then you just won't get dragon if your bot lane's winning. Like there's like so many like variables in my opinion, like stats that like if you tell me like random stats like forward percentage in mid lane, like that's like the most useless stat in my opinion. Like it's so
forward percentage is a very bad stat in my opinion.
Well, that's why we have these long conversations where we look at the stats and then we're like, hey, Dokla, maybe a pretty good top laner because of the way his team plays, and we can contextualize it. We're doing a great job. We're killing the game here, guys.
You could argue you could argue with someone like KDA and like everything, like the damage percentage, damage share. Like for example, I think definitely like I had like crazy stats for how bad like their team did like in the split. Like he had like the first of like the late like CSD, he had like first damage per share or whatever, like first damage per minute. He had like everything for AD carry. and like his team like did not help him do anything at all.
I think
So, like,
when
you can argue it's like
I think when a
really
player has like first in every stat, it's pretty like it like tells you that it's like okay, he's actually good, right? But like having like first and like random stats feels like it's not. It needs more context.
Of course, of course. Well, we're going to take a break to get to the roundup right now. We'll come back with a Puma giveaway, and then we'll do Q&A with Twitch chat and continue talking a little bit about your championship.
PogChamp.
Pogger.
Howdy there, buckaroos and buckarettes, and welcome to another edition of the Cloud9 Roundup here on the Nines, presented by AT&T. Well, partners, we've got some bad news this week. The LCS team, well, they were eliminated from the LCS playoffs for the summer split, and that means they finish in 4th place and will not be attending the World Championship. I know that's going to be tough on a lot of C9 fans out there, but at least you can take some solace in the fact that the Academy team once again won the summer split for themselves, and they are back-to-back Academy champions. Still growing that young talent here on Cloud9, and Palafox hits rank 1 in solo queue. If you like to shoot people in video games, you might have been watching some Cloud9 Counter-Strike Global Offensive this past week, and unfortunately, they did fall 0-2 to Team Liquid in their ESL 1 Cologne 2020 North America journey. Well, it comes to an end. Valorant, things went pretty all right for the Cloud9 boys. They took the win against Gen G, Dignitas, and Envy before losing to eventual tournament champions Sentinels to get knocked into the loser's bracket in the playoffs. Now, in those playoffs, they did lose to Envy and were eliminated in 3rd place in Pop Flash. It's a pretty nice event if I do say so myself. Over in Cloud9 Hearthstone, Cloud9 Dawn took the win versus Bank Yugi, Blitzchung, and a quick win versus Glory to play Blitzchung in the finals. And of course, Cloud9 Dawn, well, winning the finals versus Blitzchung in the Week 3 APAC Hearthstone Grand Masters, making him the champion. Over on the Cloud9 org side, have you ever wanted to be insulted by I Will Dominate, and not just on Twitter? Well, now's your time. Get flamed by I Will Dominate by submitting your clips. Check out our Twitter at Cloud9 for more info on how to get flamed by the pros. Welcome to Emiru as a Cloud9 streamer and content creator this last week, so be sure to see that content. And Cloud9 is a finalist for Content Team of the Year, and Cassidy, our videographer, up for Videographer of the Year, so go vote for them over at the Esports Awards. I'm one of the judges over on that show. It'll be a mighty nice award ceremony. Cloud9, along with FlyQuest, Team Liquid, and TSM, also came together to jointly contribute $100,000 big dollars to the ACLU this last week. Thank you very much to our co-LCS teams for contributing to that donation. Short roundup this week, everybody, but we've got more of the Nines presented by AT&T coming up right now.
So I have this picture of happier times.
Oh God!
I found it in the studio.
Yeah.
Good memories. Good memories.
Yeah,
Do you think people are
that's-
feeling like this right now? I don't think so. Maybe you are.
Nah, unfortunately not.
You're not.
It's a great picture, though. Great picture.
It
I
is. It's
appreciate
a good picture, you know. Good memories.
Great memories.
I wasn't there, but
I wasn't very there, but I remember all the people.
So you guys, congrats on that second championship. Obviously huge for you. What is your future looking like with the team, or what are your ambitions now that you've repeated the back-to-back Academy wins?
Diamond. What's your future, mate? What's your future, Diamond?
I don't know, man. Like, it's just whatever like LCS teams want to do, you know. Like, if they want to pick us up, they pick us up. If they don't, then
I mean, yeah. I mean, for me, I mean, I'm not too worried about making LCS. Like, I do feel like, I mean, if a good LCS team would want me, I'm always down. But for me, my own career, I feel like I'm not in much of a rush to like make LCS. So, I mean, I'm chilling.
You're chilling. Do you think it really helped you that FBI doing so well this year showed that players from kind of the Oceanic region or minor regions are capable of playing in the LCS and performing at a very high level. Do you think that's going to help you in terms of your opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, I think like Oceanic players showing good performance is always good for all the Oceanic players, because it just shows that the region can actually have good players, like standout players at least. And FBI was definitely one of the best players out of OC that like played for sure in like internationally. And I mean, I'm not too sure if it like will highly influence it, but it would definitely like if he played badly, like if every single one of them played badly, like including FBI, then like it would be a very bad look, right? So.
Well, you know, there's balance in all things. For every FBI, there's a Ryoma, right?
Feels bad, man. Feels bad, man. I'm friends with them.
That's Fudge's boy. You can't do that to him.
You know, I'm not saying who you can be friends with. There are a lot of really nice people in the world.
Yeah.
Most of them can't play video games.
Feels bad, man.
In fact, you know, being highly competitive is often inversely correlated to niceness. So, you know, a lot of the people who are really good are kind of assholes. But it just comes with the territory. People, they're not bad people. They just they don't have patience for people's poor performances, which is what makes them great, and we can appreciate them for that, right?
Yep, fair enough, fair enough. That is a good thing. It's a good aspect.
You know, just because you're super good at clicking heads or playing some League of Legends doesn't mean that you're a role model as a person.
Yep,
they're not connected. They're not connected things.
Yep, pretty much.
That's very true.
By the way, guys, Puma, I almost forgot. Puma giveaway. Please, if you are in North America and over the age of 18, you can win a Puma gift card if you type #Puma in chat. And then, after that, if you guys have questions, I will be asking them questions about all your, no doubt, super interesting thoughts that they will debase themselves by answering. So, looking forward, after the season, what's up for you guys? Like, you just stay. You're probably stuck in LA, aren't you, Fudge?
Yeah, I'm completely stuck here. I can't go back to Australia. I'm not going to leave until the end of my career, probably another 10 years, you know? So I've never seen my family again.
See, earlier we talked about Australia being the prison island, but you are actually prevented from going back to Australia now.
Yeah, if I go back...
You're reverse imprisoned in America.
Yeah, I mean, if I go back, then I can't come back to the US. So I guess it actually still is a prison island, you know? I can go there, but I can't get out, so...
You're actually the prisoner of Azkaban.
So
you're gonna stay here, just chilling in the house.
3 or 4 months chilling with Jonathan Tran, my manager. You know, I have nothing else to do. If the main team made Worlds, maybe I'd have something to do. Feels bad, man.
Wait. If the team had made Worlds, what would have happened if they had made Worlds? I'm curious.
I mean, I would go with them to Worlds.
Oh, would you be the sub?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be sub with Palafox. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be said, but
I mean, we can talk about things that aren't happening. I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a huge leak. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's unfortunately not happening. Although I did perversely, I will say, enjoy the glimmer of hope of like the news
VCS
that the Vietnamese wouldn't be there, and everybody's like, oh, maybe that means LCK and LCS are getting 4th spots, and then it's like, no. Actually, you know, the real debate was I woke up this morning, and I like opened my phone and I just like see the news, and it's like World's 2020 format changed,
update.
Format update, and I was like, double elimination? Yes. And then I read it's like no Vietnamese teams. I'm like, shit.
Yeah. Actually, they really need double elimination, in my opinion, for Worlds.
But like, I've been spending years trying to like get them to change the Worlds format. Yeah. So imagine like what was happening in my brain when I was like, it was like Worlds 2020 format update. I'm like,
the glimmer of hope
I did
when
it.
You see
I won. And then I'm like, oh.
When you see the link, you know, it's the glimmer of hope, and then you open it, and then, oh well, life's not as good anymore. But yeah.
So
I mean,
so you're forced to stay here. So you're just going to be solo queuing?
Yeah, I'm probably just gonna play solo queue. I don't know. I'm just gonna watch Worlds. I have no clue what I'm gonna do, dude. I'm gonna be bored out of my mind. That's what I'm gonna do. But
you know, you're gonna make a really great Worlds guest for Something Insight. Just chilling there, watching games,
I'm down.
talking shit. It'll be great. Diamond, do you have anything you're gonna do? Go home.
Yeah, well, I'm Canadian, so I'm not quite jailed, so I can just go like to my house in Canada and sit there for 2 weeks and then quarantine and then come back. It's not that hard.
That's true.
But
yeah, you're lucky.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. And yeah, I mean, I might just go home and see what happens. And I'm planning to just like grind so hard. I'm gonna try to get top 10. See what happens. Since I we came to Korea this year, so I'm gonna just do my own solo queue.
You have to get top 1. You have to get top 1. Christian Palafox has a huge ego after he got rank 1.
Christian's ego's been a bit too big recently.
Here's a great question. Do you guys stream? People want to know.
I was thinking about it, but I do not stream, unfortunately.
Last time I streamed was last Twitch Rivals, the beginning of this year, so maybe.
I was casting that.
Oh, you were?
That's crazy. I was casting that with Doa.
Yeah, I mean, I might stream in off season. We'll see. I'll probably be bored, so we'll see.
Yeah, I printed some money during the turn. Too bad.
I mean, Fudge, both of you guys are very, fun personalities, very talkative, good at explaining things. So I would think you guys would be great streamers, and especially if you're not going to be doing anything else.
Yeah, I might just stream in the off season.
Oh yeah, streams my the solo queue, but
I'm not playing solo anymore.
oh, he's not playing solo queue, huh?
Are you guys thinking about potentially going to Korea? I mean, obviously it's very difficult with the pandemic, but going to practice, because Cloud9, for those of you who don't know, does have a permanent facility in Korea. So definitely, potentially an option for you guys.
There would be a huge option for me, except for the rule that if the Korean rule where if they don't allow Koreans into their country, you can't go into Korea, and Australia does not allow Koreans into their country. So I can actually not go to Korea if I want to, which is actually really sad. I really wanted to in the whole season. Yes, I'm literally not allowed to. So it's actually the worst for me. Like I'm stuck. I'm genuinely stuck here. Like I cannot go anywhere else.
You go to Canada, bro. Like just come with me.
Canada to play some NA maybe.
Yeah, you can. You have lower ping. It's crazy.
That's probably true. You probably do.
Yeah,
where are you from? Toronto or?
I literally live in the most East Coast place in the world. I live in Quebec City. It's like it's in between Europe and like the servers, So like before they made the switches with the servers, I had 90 ping on EU and 90 ping on NA.
Cool.
Like 3 years ago, and now I have 30 ping on NA server somehow, and then the LA has 60, so it just doesn't make sense. Yeah. Nothing makes sense. It's crazy.
So wow. So you're actually just stuck here until the Korean government decides to lift the restriction against Australians, even though you're an Australian coming from America.
Yeah, I'm just doomed, man. I was talking about it with all the managers, and it's just lost. There's nothing to do.
Nothing to do. Just hard stuck, actually.
Hard stuck in NA.
Yeah, and Americans can't go to Europe right now, so.
Yeah. It's just lost.
Pretty rough. Sounds like it's time to investigate your possible streaming. Do you guys have any non-League of Legends games that you've been in, haven't been able to play yet that you're excited about? We've got a lot of good games coming out.
Shadowlands in a month.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's the big release.
Cyberpunk.
That's the big release.
Cyberpunk's coming out.
Yeah, I have a lot of exploring to do with Steam games in all season, I guess.
I play some Steam games in there, and I just play a Humble bundle, and I just play some random games for fun, sometimes for an hour every day, or after a couple of days. And I'm actually waiting for the Baldur's Gate game.
The new Baldur's Gate?
Yeah, the game made by Larian Studios. That game's gonna be cool. The same studio that made Divinity.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I didn't know you were an RPG fan. Yeah, those Divinity games are really good. I agree. I love these kind of single player story based games. So.
Yeah, they're really good.
And I've been. I don't know if you guys ever played any of the Supergiant games like Bastion or Pyre.
Yeah.
Have you guys played Hades yet?
Yeah, I've actually been playing it.
The game is
I mean, I
fucking
played it when
rad.
I was in Korea. It was so good.
I have not played a single game other than League of Legends
I converted the Reaper
in my
to,
entire life.
I was playing Hades and like at the boot, like in my queues at the Korean boot camp, and like Reaper was like looking at us and he was like, "Yeah, this game looks sick." And then he like started playing it, and then like he finished it before I even got like finished the third boss. He just finished it instantly. I was like, "Reaper, you're just that good." And he's like, "Yeah, it's that good." I was like,
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Supergiant, that game company, and so I normally don't like those roguelike games, but I love Hades. I think it's super good, and I think
it's actually like very smart the way they did it.
yeah, I think
Like, the storytelling.
I think the way, or they're going to release the final, like it's been in pre-release this entire time, but I think the actual release is coming up as well. So there's tons, and you know the other game that I'm super psyched about is tentatively super psyched because EA ruins everything. Is the Star Wars Squadrons?
Oh yeah.
Have you seen the like Star Wars dogfighting game that they're making? That's like a competitive title. That's
I have no clue.
I've seen some of it, but not. I didn't go like too deep into it.
yeah.
Like I've seen like the trailers and stuff.
I was too busy trying to win, you know. I can't
But
check out all these.
you won now. These
Yeah,
games aren't
now-
out yet. These games aren't out yet.
Oh, they're not out. Okay.
No, no.
They're
I
not
have to
out
explore.
yet.
I still have to explore everything.
I'm just giving you things to do while you're stuck in America.
Thank you.
Farage. 'Cause
I need a lot of things to do.
There's only so much NA solo queue a man can take, in my
Yeah,
experience.
I can't take more than.
I played any solo queue yesterday. It was so bad. Like no one's playing. Like there's no
Yeah,
folks playing.
the problem is like with off season is like that. Even if you want to play solo queue, there's just no one. Like it's a huge
The
problem.
pros are all slacking. Like there's only like three pros playing yesterday. I was playing with Spica, Bjergsen, and Revenge. That's like the only 3 pros that are playing.
Yeah, I think you know that's one of the big problems is that when everybody when Worlds isn't in NA, then solo queue when all the pros leave to another region, it's it's a bunch of people who aren't playing, and then the players who are playing are not even there. So I would imagine that your solo
Hear me
queue
out.
experience like falls off a cliff pretty fast.
Hear me out. It's still playoffs and no one's playing. Like, it's not even Worlds yet. I queued all day and I got Bjergsen, Centauran, and who else? Bjergsen, Centauran, and Revenge. Like
Spica,
no one else. And Spica, yeah. Like that's crazy.
Too busy 2 scrim blocks, bro.
There's no scrims yesterday. It was like off day.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
That's
It's NA. It's NA. That's what it is.
I queued for literally 10 hours, by the way. Like there was no one.
So Hades. That's clearly the answer. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yep.
It's been super fun to have you guys on the Nines again.
It's been a journey.
Yep. Congrats on your big summer split win. I hope you guys make it in the LCS hopefully next season. That would be very
Hopefully.
exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck with this off season. I'll play Star Wars Squadrons with you. Okay. You
Yeah,
ready
awesome.
to fly?
Good luck, mate.
Space
I look forward to
fighters?
watching Summoning Insight.
Yeah, should be fun. Should be fun for Worlds.
Should be fun.
All right. Thanks, guys, very much. We'll be
Yep.
back next week to talk to Jack, which should be really interesting for people who are looking for context on kind of what's going on in the broader C9 org, as well as what just happened with the team itself in the playoffs. He was there the entire time in the house, so should get a lot of good insight and hopefully some information about plans moving forward with the C9 organization. So we'll do that next week. And till then, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.